it's coming over Christmas and New Year. I've got a fair bit of gas in it. I think it's just under 100. But it does go quite quickly once you start getting down below a certain pressure on these. This is my own private bottle that I bought many years ago, and I'm going to go today and pick up a spare one. There's nothing worse than running out in the middle of a job, and I need some new wire, so I'm going to just check. I'll just take the cover off. Give me a second because it's hard to do with one hand. What I'll do is I'll just yeah, it's on. What I'll do is I'll just go take a bit of wire out. I don't need to have the gas on. I'll turn it off. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that bit of welding wire with me. Just a minute. I think it's 0.6, but I can't remember. So these are the two original bumpers off the car. I'll bring you out. You can see they're in fairly poor condition, but they're quite damaged on the front, and the edges you can see there's a lot of bends in them and so on. And the fronts are quite, this is the back bumper of course, and you can see some quite bad marks in them. But I know a place in, this is the front bumper obviously because of the grill. I'll turn it over on its front. You can see this one's quite badly damaged in places. Particularly here it's bad. I don't know if we can redo that. But I know a place in Graz, so I'm going to take it there. I had my E-type bumpers done there. Not a cheap process because they have to put them in an acid bath, strip them completely, rework it, and then put copper on them, all the other bits they do, and then the chrome. But they made a beautiful job, but not a cheap option. But the problem with these bumpers is they're around about £1,300 each, and that's not including shipping. And you know, I don't know what the quality of them are. These are originals and they're extremely thick, and I would doubt very much if the new ones or the reproduction ones are anywhere near as good. So you know, I'm going to now take them up today, try and get an estimate about what they'll cost to repair, to strip, recopper, chrome them and so on and so forth, and we'll see where we go from there. If it's a cheaper option to keep them, I would rather do that and have the originals, but we'll just have to see how it goes and what the estimate comes out with. I'll let you know. The overriders are in such poor condition that they're just not worth repairing. There's too much work in them. They've been previously welded, studs have been welded in them and so on and so forth, so they're just not worth it. They're about £162 each overrider, so £162, €170. You're not gonna get them chromed for anything near that, so they're just not worth. They're better off. Cheaper to replace them. Again, they might not be as great quality. We'll see when they turn up next week. So there we go. So this is a mission today to try and pick up some gas, get some new wire, and take these bumpers in and see what kind of idea, or get a quote roughly between a certain figure of what they're going to cost to repair, if they can be repaired. Okay, so I picked up a spare gas bottle, and there's a new 15 kilo. It is 0.8. I thought it was 0.6, but it's 0.8. I think most of the hobby welders are 0.6, but we do a fair bit of heavier welding, so it's better for it. And the XK has, sorry about turning the camera so quick for the focus, but the metal on this is much thicker than cars nowadays, especially minis and things like that. I got a box from S&G Barrett through DHL with the overriders in it, and some other bits and pieces. So this is the metal plate that for the XK150 that the license plate will go on, which is quite substantial, which is good. So I'll keep that to one side. And I've also got a few other pieces. So I've got a brand new, for the E-type Jaguar, I've got a new clutch slave, which I'll fit on this week. I also bought a repair kit for the slave that's on it, because I'm fairly sure the bore is good. It's only done 6,000 miles, 6,000 kilometres. So I've got a kit there as well. I haven't actually opened this yet. But what I'll do is I'll check that the bore is good in the one that's on the car. It's working fine, but there's a slight weep on it. So hopefully it's the rubbers. It tends to be that the rubber stuff these days is not as good quality. Yeah, it's just a cover and one seal. That's it. That goes onto the slave. That's it. Just 2 small pieces. Not a lot, is it, for £12 or whatever they are. Anyway, so that's them. So I can get that sorted. This is just a combination of chrome nuts for the main bumpers. So basically, what I've done is I took the main bumpers, the front and rear bumper for the XK150. I took it to a place called Gillick in Graz, about 50 kilometres from here. And I've used him before. It was about 4 or 5 years ago, but his business is still there. And he did all the stuff on the E-Type for me. So I used all the original bumpers and overriders from the car when I bought the car from America. And there was some damage to them. There was quite a bit of damage, so they completely dipped them in acid, completely stripped them, and then reworked them. They had to do quite a few hours of work on them. The overriders were a little bit damaged, and as you probably know, in America they used to have these kind of hoops over the overriders, front and back. I think they were for pedestrians. They look awful, but anyway, they had these kind of like half hoops on the bottom and top. So that meant, because the car had come from America, it meant we had to weld in where the holes were for the hoops to be put on, and then resurface it, and then obviously copper it and chrome it and so on and so forth. So, and I remember this was probably that's going to be a good 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and it was about €1,000 to do all 4. But that was including the overriders and including a few other pieces of chrome as well. They also did the motif bar and a few other bits and pieces. But now we're in a situation now where these bumpers I've got for the XK150 are much bigger, they're much heavier, but not quite as, the profile's not quite as delicate as, let's say, on the E-Type. So he's given me an estimate, which is better than buying them new. They're £1,300 without the transport, and I don't know where they're coming from. Could be Vietnam, Taiwan, China, who knows. But I'm pretty confident, knowing what I've done with restoration so far, that there will not be the quality the original ones were. So my feeling is I went to him, we talked about it, we discussed it. He thinks there's around 12 to 15 hours of just metal work as far as getting them straight, buffing them up, refinishing, welding them in and so on. So what they'll do is they'll obviously dip them in acid, they'll get all the profiles correct, and then re-chrome them. So the figure is between 1,850 and €2,000. So if you work that out, that's probably 1,800 quid or something like that. And they're 2,600 for 2, front and back. And as I said, the quality, I would imagine, isn't as good. So this is the way we're going to go with it. And we will be getting them back in the middle of February, because they don't start back to work until the 11th of January. So middle to the end of February. What I'll do then is, once I've got the bill for them, I've got them finished and I'm happy with the quality and I've paid for them, I'll do a little a t-shirt for a t-shirt and some stickers. If anybody can guess the price, doesn't have to be exact, but the one nearest the price I'll send out a t-shirt to. But I don't do it on this video, don't do the estimate on this video. I will do it in a video when I've actually got the bill, so it'll be another 6 weeks or so, whatever it is from now. So I opened the boxes with the overriders in, and unfortunately one of them is really not up to scratch. Pardon the pun, scratch on chrome. This one here is particularly poor. Now this was in a box with paper in it, and all the others have come with plastic on them. Now the quality, finish and the material thickness is correct. The welding is as good as I would have expected, but what's wrong is internally in here there's quite a lot of surface rust. In fact, I'm right on the bottom. Now I can treat these, but it's, you know, I think for the kind of money that you're paying for these overriders, they are heavy and they're big. I think that's unacceptable for that kind of money. It shouldn't come in that condition. Fortunately, the other three are okay. There's a little bit of surface, but as I say, I can treat them anyway. But I think this one is really unacceptable. I don't know if it will show up inside. It probably won't. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put the light on and I'll give you an idea. Just maybe I'll try to maybe show you. Maybe you can see that corrosion in the. Hang on. It's very difficult. There you go. You can see that in the bottom. It is surface rust, but that's not the point. They really shouldn't be sending out stuff in that condition. Now I'll show you one of the others that's in the plastic. So I think this has been out somewhere. So I'll show you one of the others. There's one here. So obviously, you can see the difference there. You can see the difference in the. I'll show you inside. So you can see the massive difference. So that to me is really unacceptable to send it out. I mean, somebody sent it out and obviously couldn't be bothered. And one of them has a slight nick as well, which again, I think for £164, 167, whatever they were, plus the carriage, one of them's got a nick on the front, and I'm sorry, but I just don't think that's acceptable for that kind of money. So I'm going to send it back to them. What I will be doing, obviously, in the future is because of the situation with Brexit, we're a bit unsure about what's going to happen as far as getting stuff, whether we're paying tax on it. I would imagine there'll be a tit-for-tat situation between the UK and the rest of Europe. So I'll just use the one in I think there's one in France or one in Germany, an S&G Barrett group, and they can sort out the hassle with all the taxes to get it to there. So, but it's going to create a lot of issues and a lot of problems for stuff. But it is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, so the other three I'm quite happy with. I can show you. This is the rubbers that will go alongside the override. So basically, what will happen is these will be cut to length. In fact, that's the wrong side. It's the big bit that comes out. So basically this will, I'll show you, just hold it for you so you can see it. Hang on, if I can get it on. There we go. So there'll be something like that on it, on each side of this overrider here, which goes onto the bumper, which is very, very similar to the E-Type. So I'll do the same thing, and it'll fit in that little recess there. Be quite difficult to put on, but you'll have to kind of hold it in place when you're doing it. So that should be enough for all four of the overriders to get done. But yeah, so, and even there's some surface. What I'll do is I'll use a treatment inside them anyway, to make sure they don't get manky. Now we're a long way obviously from this when you look at the car, but I want to get these in place because these are just going to go up in price. And I was thinking about the tax and this and that, because I would say 85–90% of the stuff I have brand new upstairs for the car. Most of it's on the chassis, the running chassis now, but I've pretty much got most of the stuff, and some of it will be re-chromed, some of it will be used, some of it won't. But this is getting to a point where it's getting very, very expensive. As I said, over £3,000, well over £3,000 just for two bumpers, with the overriders as well on them, which is a lot of money. You can buy really quite a reasonable Mini for that kind of money. But there you go. So I just thought I'd show you them, and then I'll talk to S&G after Christmas. So yeah, so that's it really. I'm going to do some work tomorrow, which is the 25th. Today's the 24th. So I'd like to wish you a happy Christmas from my family and myself, and I won't say Happy New Year because I will do another one before New Year. I'm going to do some welding on the XK150, but 24th is the kind of European Christmas day, and they do things on the 25th, but it's more a kind of religious thing, going to the church and whatever. So as I said, I wish you a very happy Christmas, and I will wish you a happy new year when it comes along. So take care, and as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, and enjoy your hobby. Bye for now.